It starts like any other journey, a quiet road, an empty horizon, and the promise of a destination. But for some, that journey would be their last. Between 1984 and 2001, Kazys Jonaitis, a man now etched into the annals of true crime as the Roadside Maniac, transformed the act of hitchhiking into a deadly gamble. His crimes terrorized the Lithuanian countryside, leaving a trail of fear and devastation in their wake. Kazys Jonaitis was born in 1955 in the rural Lithuanian village of Algupis. He grew up in a modest household surrounded by the quiet simplicity of countryside life. But his childhood was far from idyllic. Jonaitis' father was known for his temper and frequently used physical violence to assert control over the family. This harsh and abusive upbringing left deep psychological scars on Jonaitis, shaping a personality that would later unleash terror on unsuspecting victims. Those who knew Jonaitis in his youth described him as a quiet and withdrawn boy. Yet beneath his subdued exterior, there were signs of anger and resentment that would one day erupt into unspeakable violence. By the time he reached adulthood, Jonaitis had developed a reputation for being manipulative and prone to violent outbursts. His first major brush with the law came in 1984 when he committed his first murder. Jonaitis' initial crime was shocking. He killed a man reportedly for money and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. For over a decade, the country believed he was no longer a threat. But in 1996, Jonaitis was released. And what came next was far worse than anyone could have imagined. Jonaitis resumed his life in obscurity. To the outside world, he was just another man trying to rebuild after prison. But in reality, he was planning his return to violence. Over a period of 5 years, Jonaitis targeted women traveling alone, mostly hitchhikers on quiet, isolated roads. His pattern was chillingly simple. He offered a ride to those in need, only to trap them in a nightmare they would never escape. Once inside his car, his victims were at his mercy. Jonaitis was methodical and cruel. He didn't just kill his victims, he sexually assaulted them before ending their lives. His attacks were as depraved as they were calculated, leaving no doubt about the depth of his evil. By the time authorities connected the cases, the death toll had risen. Each victim was found abandoned on desolate roadsides, their lives cut short by a man who took pleasure in their suffering. The turning point came in 2001 when Jonaitis made a fatal mistake. After killing one of his victims, he stole her belongings, including a cell phone. Investigators traced the phone to Jonaitis' family, leading them to his home. There they uncovered damning evidence. Items belonging to his victims and the infamous blue rope he used to bind them. While awaiting trial, Jonaitis attempted to take his own life, an act many believe was an admission of guilt. He survived and was forced to face the consequences of his actions in court. The trial that followed was swift but haunting. The court heard how Jonaitis lured his victims, gained their trust, and then subjected them to unimaginable horrors. In 2003, he was sentenced to life imprisonment, ensuring he would never walk free again. For years, his crimes left the countryside paralyzed with fear. Women avoided hitchhiking, and every driver was viewed with suspicion. Jonaitis had done more than claim lives. He had shattered a community's sense of trust. Kazys Jonaitis is now behind bars, but the memory of his actions lingers. His story serves as a harrowing reminder. Sometimes the greatest danger lies in the people we trust the most. Kazys Jonaitis was convicted of multiple murders in 2003. He remains incarcerated to this day.